All right. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special live afternoon edition of the Jazziz Last Call. If you're watching online, if you're listening to the podcast, welcome to the Jazziz Backstage Pass. But yeah, we're here. We're live. It's the afternoon. I guess we'll call this the Jazziz 2 Martini Lunch. We're going bi-coastal today with our guests. Joining us from Newport Beach, California, will be saxophonist Eric Marienthal, and from Long Island, New York, will be trumpeter Randy Brecker. They are about to release a new album together called Doubledealing. It is coming August 21st, and they're here. The drinks are getting cold, so we're about to go one more round with them. First, I want to let you know about a new album from ECM Records. That would be this new one by a trio of Carla Bley, on piano, saxophonist Andy Shepard, and bassist Steve Swallow. It is called Life Goes On. A beautiful record. The centerpiece is a suite entitled Life Goes On. Just a really nice balance of improvised music and through composed music. Tighter trios in jazz do not exist. So if you want to check out this record, head on over to ecmrecords.com to learn more about it. Wanted to also let you know about our current issue. That would be our summer 2020 issue. Check out this guy. It is all about the age of fusion, as you can see, and it is on newsstands now and has been mailed to print subscribers. Should be in your mailbox or on your coffee table at this moment. Nice little cover story on Chick Corea in there. If you're not a subscriber, good news, okay? All of the content from this print issue and every other print issue is available as web articles on our website. Now, you will need a digital subscription to read them. And right now, we're offering a special subscription rate for Jazz's Last Call viewers for just 99 cents per month. For 3 months, you can receive unlimited digital access to all of our web articles. Plus, we'll enroll you to receive a complimentary print issue of our next edition, which is coming out in September. It's called The Art of the Album. It's all about collecting albums, listening to albums, producing albums, album cover art. It's a really great issue. And like I say, you sign up now, you get unlimited digital access to the web articles in this and every other print issue. Plus, come September, a 100-page premium print issue will arrive in your mailbox. You like the subscription, you keep it, but you can cancel anytime. But I think you're going to love it. So sign up now. All right. As I mentioned, our guests today are Eric Marienthal and Randy Brecker. They have a new album coming out. They're here. Their drinks are in hand. So what do you say? We go one more round with Eric Marienthal and Randy Brecker. Hey, you guys there?
Hey, guys.
Hey, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me. We all have cups in hand. I see Randy has a plunger. It's a plunger mute, people, so don't get the wrong idea. It's plunger mute for his trumpet. Anyway, we're going to be doing some drinking and some chatting. First thing we do on the show, guys, as our viewers know, is we give a little toast to someone, something, someplace, some idea. So, Eric, Randy, who are we drinking to? What are we drinking to with this glass? Randy, you want to start?
Okay, well, just dedicated to my wife and 2 kids. Have a happy weekend, and I guess to the let's say the reunification of our country.
That's right.
Looking forward to that.
Cheers to that for sure. Eric, how about you, sir? Oh, it looks like you're muted there, Eric. You might have to unmute your mic.
Am I back?
There you go.
Hey, there you are.
Just in time.
Yeah. Yeah, my family as well. I'll toast to, and we have our little granddaughter who just turned 1 year old yesterday.
Wow.
So to her, and same sentiment as Randy. Absolutely, the coming back to the planet from which we came, and hoping that we get past all this craziness as soon as possible, and everybody is back to perfect health.
Indeed. Indeed. Cheers to that.
All right.
Well, that's the good stuff. So, hey, big news for you guys. You have a new album coming out in August 21st. The new album drops. It is called Doubledealing. It's a great record, great band. You guys sound amazing. I'm curious, in this time of lockdowns and quarantines, how this project started coming together. So, Eric, can you start us off on that?
Yeah, we started way before anybody knew anything about any virus currently. We talked about it Actually, we first got together, Randy and I and George Whitty, we were all at the Detroit Jazz Festival, and we got together for a breakfast, and it was a thought that it actually came together. I got to play with Randy with the group Metro at the Berks Jazz Festival. We were playing, it was back in 2018, right, for the memorial that we put together for Chuck Loeb, who was a very dear friend of both Randy's and mine, and an integral part of that festival. So it was very, very appropriate. And we played together, and a friend of mine actually said, "Man, you and Randy really sounded great together. You should do a record." And my first reaction was, I said, "Well, who wouldn't want to make a record with Randy Brecker?"
Yeah.
And so I thought about it, and I steeled my nerve and talked to Dr. Randy about it, and he was up for it happily, and so it kind of came together. So it's been all this current our current situation that we find ourselves in. Didn't make the process any easier, but we just went for it. A lot of the work was done, quite frankly, before any of the lockdowns. So
Okay.
but still, I'm busy. Randy Brecker obviously is busy. So is George, and everybody else. And so it took a bit of strategizing to get it all together. But it was really fun. At every turn, there was nothing that was that wasn't really fun musically, really great musically. So it was just a matter of continuing through the process and just having a ball doing it.
Yeah, and we should definitely shout out these band members, because in addition to you, Eric, and Randy, you said George Whitty on keys, Dave Weckl on drums, John Patitucci on bass. So just a great band. Randy, were you contributing, in studio, or were you sending in files, or how did the logistically?
Well, there was a lot of file sharing going on between all of us, and like Eric said, we just always clicked when we played together. We did some tours with Jeff Lorber. We were together in the GRP Big Band, and we did sessions together and other odd and often on gigs. So it was just a perfect fit. I was actually thrilled when he asked me to play. I thought it was a great idea, and it had also been suggested to me by several people, that we were a good fit. And that's what we just really had a great time together whenever we were on the road and played together. So it was just an easy fit too, perfect. And what can you say about George and the other guys? We've all played together on different gigs for years. Weckl was part of the Brecker Brothers band, and we played together a couple of summers ago. We did a tour with the Brecker Brothers band reunion, and Patitucci go way back. I don't know how many get with the Joel, the GRP Big Band, just hit the stand. So, but there was a lot of file sharing and a lot of kind of talking back and forth. And George set the groundwork, did a lot of sequencing. He's the best at that there is. So not only was it keyboards, it was little, keyboard bass, keyboard drums, keyboard, everything really.
Percussion, some drum pad,
percussion, drums, it was just great what he did with the tune. So it was a long process. I mean, we didn't do it overnight, but it was really gratifying from every sense of the word.
It's a super tight album.
Putting a puzzle together. Giant puzzles.
The grooves are excellent, and you can hear the chemistry, because like you said, Weckl, Patitucci, everyone's kind of been swimming in the same circles, and it's nice to just all see you on a disc like this together. Hey, before we go any further, I just want to remind everybody watching, like we see the folks at Smooth Jazz Family chiming in there saying hello. Feel free to drop us a line, let us know where you're watching from, and if you have a question for either Eric or Randy, feel free to send that in as well. We'll get to it on air. I want to ask about the first time you guys met. Do you recall that moment, whether it was in a musical capacity, on stage, off stage?
Boy, that's a good one, man. We go back so far.
Yeah.
Well, it had to have been way before the GRP.
Yeah. I remember once, you walking down 48th Street, and I just bumped into you, but that was far from the first time. Man, that's a really good question. But we played together in so many different circumstances. That's why it's hard to really piece where we
right.
first
Okay, so
met.
in
I would
that Venn
imagine
diagram,
it had been on a gig. It must have been on a gig.
right? Yeah. And in that Venn diagram, let's go through what were some of the groups that you guys played with together, like in a section.
Well, like Randy said, the GRP
Okay.
All-Star Big Band that Larry Rosen and Dave Grusin put together. That was Dave's band. That band, Randy did 3 records, right?
Yeah, I think up to 3. We did several tours. Went to Japan, the classic gig in Osaka, where we all got food poisoning, and that was one we can never forget.
Oh boy!
But tours with Lorber, Brian Bromberg. We played with him, and
Metro.
Metro, of course.
Yeah. And we've done some of those Cannonball gigs together.
Yeah, the Cannonball gigs are great. Then Eric transcribed a lot of Cannonball shit and put his own stamp on it. So we've done that several times. And boy, the first time, I'd be curious. Maybe we met when you were playing with Chick. Gee, I just don't remember because we're just going back so far. But we just always click together. He's a positive guy against my rah.
It very well could have been that was a like maybe a festival where you guys played.
That could be. It might have been something.
We'll have to do some jazz research here. Find out the first time Randy Brecker and Eric Marienthal. It's funny that you bring up the Cannonball and the Cannonball Project, because I feel a lot of that same energy of the Cannonball and Nat Adderley projects, just bringing some absolute soul to this music, and the simpatico you guys have. Cannonball and Nat were brothers, and you guys bring a similar kind of cohesion. You have similar styles, and I think it owes a lot to your origins and your open-earedness. Both of you guys were kind of seminal figures in jazz rock and jazz rock fusion. So if it's cool, I kind of want to walk back through some iconic groups for each of you, and I want to talk with you, Eric, about your stint in Chick Corea's Electric Band. First of all, I'm curious, how did you get that gig?
Well, I'll give you the relatively short version. I was playing. Well, I'll give you a quick version of the long story. I was playing at a club in LA. I guess it was 1986, and this small little teeny club. Monday night, we were playing every Monday night, and we had 30 people in there. It was packed, this little hole in the wall. And Chick wanted to add a saxophone player to the Electric Band, and he asked John Petitucci, and John recommended me and recommended that he go check me out. And so he knew that I had that gig, and so here we are, this little club in North Hollywood, and not thinking that. The last thing I would think would be, to have somebody like Chick Corea walked in, but sure enough, he did. And not only did he come and sit in, not only did he come, but he sat in with us. He stayed the whole night, and he had another friend in the band as well. So it all kind of worked out nicely. So the next day, his manager, called me and said, "Hey, Chick really dug the way he played last night and wanted to know if you want to joined the band." And we're in the middle of the first record was just called the Electric Band. The second record was Light Years, and he wanted to add me for that, and he said, we're starting the new record right now, and after that we start our world tour. What do you think? And I had been such a major fan of Return to Forever and Chick, and all that, and the Electric Band as well. I mean, it was just so surreal. What was I going to say? Gee, I don't know, man. What does it pay? I
don't know. Let me check with my manager. Right.
Yeah. And, but we're still playing. I mean, he just called last week, as a matter of fact, and said, "Hey, man, I've been listening to our music. I'm just so excited." And we actually have some gigs lined up in the States in October. So fingers crossed that'll happen. But he wants to release all the old records again in one box set. And 2 years ago, we toured a lot and recorded every show. And he and Bernie Kirsch, the engineer, had marked all the tunes that they thought were put stars on the ones that were the better versions, I suppose. And he wants to release a live record.
Oh wow!
And do a bunch of stuff. Hopefully, as soon as all this stuff lightens up. So, yeah, so we're live and kicking. Chick just had a birthday about 3 weeks ago. So,
he certainly did. Yeah, he was on the show around that time, and yeah, we were talking about his new project where he incorporates a lot of his. And one thing I love about Chick stuff is just his ability. Nobody does concept albums, better than Chick. And you were on that great one with the Electric Band, the To the Stars one, which is based on the L. Ron Hubbard book. I'm curious what he was like as a band leader. Just running that ensemble, and did he kind of give everyone free range, or?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, Chick, we should all have the experience as musicians to be able to be in that band, frankly, or to be in any band, led by Chick. I mean, we never rehearse for notes. We always just work for, we hardly rehearse, quite frankly, but we rehearse for, so that we can get our balances, we can hear each other. And, he picks people who he wants to communicate with. And it really is just a matter of just, it's like the world's greatest parent, grandparent, where you play. And I thought when I first joined that band that it would be the most intimidating thing I would ever be. And I was scared to death. And I knew after the record, and once we started traveling, that it was the opposite. It's like with the way he comps behind you, you play something, and the more adventurous, the better. And the way he plays, it's like he's saying, yeah, go, you're killing, and it just, it turned out to be the least intimidating situation, because it's just, and everybody in the band now, it's 33 years down the road for that group. It's like a family. We all, all of our kids know each other.
Beautiful, man.
Yeah, it really is great.
Very cool. Yeah. And Randy, we've talked in a previous conversation about our musical influences and our shared love for Clifford Brown. But I'm curious if you have a figure, you could think back in your career to a figure early on, a band leader, someone like that, who did kind of take you under your wing and really kind of instill some lifelong jazz lessons for you.
Well, that would have to be Horace Silver, because that was my first big time jazz gig, and I was with him the longest. If you total up the 2 times, probably close to 3 years. And beside being the great musician, he was just a really philosophical, clean living, wonderful guy. I wish I had paid attention to his teachings earlier in life. Yeah. Although it still had an effect. I never got too far out with anything. But he just instilled positivity from beginning to end. He was a great band leader. He knew exactly how to give you latitude on certain tunes, but maybe not so much latitude on the tunes that he wanted funky. He was very specific in what he wanted per tune, but he was the sweetest guy in the world. No pretense. After you got to know him, you forgot that he was quote Horace Silver.
Right.
And those are lessons that I take with me when I lead bands. He was a big musical influence, even in side streams where he wrote lyrics to all of his tunes. And I started doing that to my tunes and started experimenting with my nasally singing. It was all due to Horace. And he just was a huge influence. And he was very verbal about his life and positivity and keeping it positive. He mentioned it every day. And he was just really an inspiration.
He's an underrated band leader, I think.
Oh man, he's underrated. Not that he's so but he doesn't get enough credit for just the amount of tunes that he wrote. People think of all the simpler ones, the popular ones, like "Song for My Father," "The Preacher," but there are multitudes of really hip and difficult tunes to play. He was no slouch when it came to that.
Yeah. So are you saying we have Horace Silver to thank for Randroid?
Well, in a kind of circuitous route, yes. I wouldn't have probably written lyrics if I didn't see him doing it.
Very cool. Very cool.
It even extended to that.
Speaking of bands, I mean, we have a term back when we were working around the office, the gateway drug bands that kind of get people from rock and pop into jazz. And a big one for us is Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Mm-hmm. Of which you were an original member. Now, in my opinion, when people are talking about fusion, Blood, Sweat, and Tears seems like a group that is left out And it could be because they had some popular hits. They were on the radio. But you guys were playing village shows. You know, you had Jaco Pastorius was in that group at one time. Talk to me about the formation of that group, because it sounds like it had some strong jazz origins.
Well, it did, and some real jazz guy. The core of the band, and he still has access to the band and owns the name, is Bobby Colomby, the drummer in the band, who went on to become a great manager and vice president of Columbia Records West Coast, signed people like Harry Connick. He's currently managing Chris Bodie. He was a great businessman, way ahead of us intellectually at the time. But his brother was, he had two brothers. One was Harry Colomby, who was Thelonious Monk's manager.
Oh, wow.
All those years. So Bobby would come home as a kid and Monk or Miles or whoever was in his living room. So he was a jazzer from the word go. He could sing solos, very talented drummer, never studied, just picked up his own style of drumming that became very popular. Not that he was a great technician, so to speak, but he had a certain style. So he was the core of the band. Al Cooper put the whole thing together, who also wasn't really a jazz player, but knew how to use his limitations to its fullest. Great composer of tunes. Steve Katz, the guitarist, also knew how to use his strong points. Jimmy on bass was more of a rock guy, but in the horn section, Fred Lipsius, at a young age, already had a big band. Was writing for a big band, pretty well known around New York. So he was the guy who wrote the charts on all the charts on the first record. And we played myself, Jerry Weiss, and I'm forgetting the trombone players now, who actually ended up in the band as a keyboard guy. It's terrible because he's a great composer. It'll come to me later. But jazz was at the core of the band. Later, you know, it's a funny story. Joe Henderson was in Blood, Sweat, and Tears for a while, but he only made all the rehearsals, and at the last second, he didn't want to make the gig. So classic Joe. Wow. Yeah, he's in some of the band pictures. But people like Larry Willis was in the band, Mike Stern later.
Yes.
A lot of the original members left, but they're still active. They have a good group going. They do some of their older hits. They do a Lorber tune that both Eric and I played on.
Surreptitious.
Yeah, Surreptitious. I was thinking Serendipity. And whenever I have to think of a title, that'll be me. But I was close. Yeah, Surreptitious. And Colomby still, is behind the band. And that was also a great learning experience for me, learning about the business, seeing there was a world outside the strict jazz, Jim and Andy's and half note club world, to travel around the U.S. I was with them for close to a year. We did a U.S. tour when the first record came out and ended up in San Francisco during the Summer of Love, et cetera, et cetera. So it was eye-opening. So it was a fascinating year for me. And I left to join Horace Silver.
Okay. It all ties
right
together.
before the second record. That's always a classic story. I thought I was getting a raise because I was getting $100 a week with Blood, Sweat, and Tears, whether we worked or not. It was a salary. Although on the second record they were going to cut us the horn section in equally. But I really wanted to play. It was nothing against Blood, Sweat, and Tears, but I didn't actually get to improvise that much. Horace called. Of course, I wanted to do that. Really play in a quintet. I got my good friend, the late departed, one of my best friends, Lou Soloff. I coerced him into joining the band. Yeah, he didn't really want to play in a rock band either, but I talked him into it, and they went into the studio and recorded hits like "You Make Me So Very Happy," "Spinning Wheel," and "When I Die." There were like 5 hits. The record sold 11 million copies. Was #1 for a year. Soloff and I were taking lessons with a teacher in New Jersey across the bridge, and we would take a cab there. And started after the record came out and hit big, he'd pick me up every week in a limo, cackling the whole way.
Could have been you, man.
Yeah, I was making $250 a week. Horace took taxes out, $157.50, and he left out of that we had to pay for our hotel.
Boy.
But I still wouldn't have done it any differently.
Valuable experience. That's right.
Yeah, it was all wonderful.
Very cool. And hey, before we go on, I want to say hello to people watching. Roger, Greg, Jose, Adrian.
Greg Adams.
Thanks for saying hello.
Greg Adams,
Yeah,
come on.
Greg Adams.
Wow.
We have a
One and
question.
only.
We have a question for you,
Adrian.
Eric, too, about working with Ramsey Lewis and what that was like. Len Zargo, thanks for the question. Len wants to know what it was like to work with Ramsey.
Actually, I just well, the only time I ever played with him was Randy and I both. It was on the third GRP Big Band record. Ramsey came in and played. It was that studio record we did after the record we did live in Japan, and that was a long time ago. But I just played. Well, I'm the music director for the Blue Note at Sea Jazz Cruise and also the Smooth Jazz Cruises, and so
Right.
Ramsey played which he retired after that gig. Was his very last performance.
Wow.
Back in I guess it was the end of January, beginning of February. But you know, super sweet guy, as you would imagine. I mean, you know, when we think of Ramsey Lewis, if you ever had a chance to hear him live or, you know his music or whatever, you know, it's interesting to get to hear somebody's music and become acquainted with them, and then actually get to play with them and work with them. And you know, he was just a consummate gentleman and a real super sweetheart.
Very nice. Cool. Yeah, no, Ramsey's great and still doing some amazing things. He's got a video series going on. So yeah, check that out, people. Hey, so we talked about the past a little bit. I'd love to know, you know, the future is uncertain, but I would love to know your guys' thoughts. And, you know, you mentioned the Blue Note at Sea cruise, and there's a possibility that that might happen again. But in the meantime, Eric, you've kind of stepped out into the new world, the new frontier that is live music, because you had a gig recently, I understand.
Had a gig. It was like a you know, the most cathartic experience I've had in quite some time. I mean, you know, my wife and I joke, we've been married for 38 years, and we joke that this is by far the most amount of time we've had, you know, together. Thankfully, we actually do like each other, you know. So
that's always nice.
Yeah, it's kind of a good plus, I guess, in a marriage. But you know, for a while now, we're kind of, you know, kind of taking a step back here in California and kind of reclosing restaurants.
Yeah, I know.
At least in indoor dining, and I'm, you know, very, very careful, and I've really been to very, very few stores, and I've always got my mask on. And
there you go, always prepared.
But yeah. This club in Seal Beach, where Greg Adams, who's watching right now, hey, yo, Greg, he's playing. I believe he's playing later this month, right after. Hopefully, if this shutdown is only for 3 more weeks, he's playing right after that. There you go, Greg. Good plug for you there, man. Playing Spaghetti, the latter part of July. But anyway, the owner, Kerry Hardwick, is a super great guy. I've been playing there for 25 years, and he's become a real good friend. And they were super duper careful. They took out more than half the tables in the place and only allow a certain number of people. And people are really distant and far away from each other. And you've got to be wearing a mask if you're not eating and all that. And on stage, the stage is actually big enough so the 4 of us were able to be, you know, quite separated, and it felt comfortable. But it just, you know, and the cool thing about it, you know, a lot of my friends, you know, Bob Shepard, great saxophone player, is a real dear friend of mine. And, you know, when this all first started going down, he was, you know, thinking, man, I just hope that people don't get used to seeing music only online and realize that, oh, I can do all this stuff from you know, in my pajamas and, you know, and see it all on my computer. You know, Kerry said, man, as soon as we were able to announce a few shows, people were just, you know, clamoring to buy tickets. And
oh, that's good.
You know, yeah. And I you know, but, you know, for me personally, you know, it's part of what a musician is, not just what he does or he or she does, but is to make music and to make music with each other. It's a unique form of communication at the very least. And it was an emotional thing. When we started playing, I was really choking up. It's like, oh my gosh, I just miss this so much. And you know, we're gonna get past it, you know, and we just have to take it day by day. And you know, every time I go to sleep, I turn off the light and think, okay, one day closer to getting this all over with, you know. So.
That's right. That's right. And yeah, jazz music especially, it just thrives on that live setting, the physical presence, the physical proximity. And yeah, that's important for people to hear. It's, you know, it's nice that we're able to do this through technology. to kind of sustain ourselves through these quarantines. But, again, jazz music is best served live, and that's important for us to remember. So we'll be safe while we get there, but I think we're going to get there eventually, because, God, we all know how it is just to coordinate like happy birthday on these Zoom meetings. It is impossible. That's not how we want our jazz to sound. What about you, Randy? Any plans to travel? You've been playing? You've been doing any web stuff?
Well, we've been doing a lot of web stuff and videos and some live in-house live feeds for the Washington, D.C. Jazz Festival. Was turned into a fundraiser. Myself, Ada, and we invited a great pianist who lives near us, Bill O'Connell, to come over masked and 6 feet away. And we played for an hour, and it just was unbelievable. I mean, because I hadn't played live since the end of February. I was playing a little too many notes when eventually they posted it, and I heard it back. You just can't. I was just thrilled. I just couldn't believe it. It was the same kind of feeling, very emotional. But still, we have to talk about that. We miss the audience. That's a big part of it too, in a live situation.
Yeah.
I have some gigs coming up. Well, I have one with probably out here where I live with maybe no audience. We'll see that they'll stream. And at the end of the month, I'm going out to Aspen for the Snow Mass. Is that what they call it? You know what
Yep, the Jazz Aspen Snow Mass. Yeah.
And that's a lot of people that are on the jazz cruise that Eric and I do quite a bit. Shelley Mann, Ken Poplowski, others are there different days. Nikki Harris, Christian McBride.
Right.
So that'll be an experience trying to get out there, because I haven't been on a plane or anything, but I'm going to be real careful and trust others will be careful. And
yeah,
Aspen is pretty clear as far as the virus is concerned now. And we hope in 2 or 3 weeks when it comes up, it still will be, but I miss playing for people. It popped into my head once. I said this somewhere that I like to make people happy. And once again, as the crusty old guy, it sounds funny saying that, but it's true. We like to see people entertained or just happy when we play. We get so much feedback from the audience. It just makes us play better. So I really miss that part of it too. Not only playing with musicians, but I miss our fans. And,
no, I hear you. I hear you. We miss you too, Randy. And with regard to the cruise, Eric, because I was talking to Dave Cause about this earlier. A cruise is just an amazing thing, because it's like a floating city of people united by their love for jazz, be it the Smooth Jazz Cruise or the Jazz Cruise.
Yeah. Actually,
what's that?
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that starting next week, it's going on sale, but both the Jazz Cruise and the Smooth Jazz Cruise is going to be, we have our cruises on land next year.
Okay. Interesting.
And, February and March, we're doing the cruises in Las Vegas at the Encore Hotel. So if you go to both, the Jazz Cruise and Smooth Jazz Cruise.com, the websites, you'll be able to get all the information. But yeah, we're basically doing the whole thing on land, and it'll be
very cool.
The Encore Hotel is one of the great hotels, and turning it into a giant cruise ship. But this way, though, we've got a giant venue that they can really separate people in. You're not, obviously cruise ships aren't going to be happening for a while, but you can, and the venue will be just for the people. It's just ours, so no other people, are going to be in that facility, and they're being ultra careful. But that goes on sale on the 7th, next Tuesday. So
awesome.
And I'll be out there for 5 days actually. Hopefully when you're there, Eric, and hopefully that'll be another meeting point.
There you go.
February,
there you go.
February,
And lots of meeting places. We'll end, just on the talking about the album again, the new album, Doubledealing, coming out August 21st on Shanachie Records. It's a great album. There's a beautiful, beautiful tune on there. It's a dedication to Chuck Loeb. And it's an excellent tune. And I was just wondering if we could end, with maybe some memories of Chuck and what it was like to work with him, from either one of you.
Well, I'll go first, really short. He was just a 360-degree musician, engineer, composer, arranger, anything you needed, any style, any guitar he could do. And he made it seem effortless, just effortless. I would go over to his house. He'd be in a lounge chair with the record button, just kind of relaxing, and everything was always perfectly done.
Yeah.
He was really schooled, but deep soul. We all loved him. He was the heart and soul of the Berks Jazz Festival. So, and Eric did such a great job of putting the tribute night together. It was just unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, you know, what can you say? I mean, it's you know, it's part of life. But yeah, Chuck was just like Randy said, he was just such an amazing guy. I mean, he could just sort of, whatever he did, he just did so great. We both had schools, online schools at Artist Works, and he put his heart and soul into that. And you know, we did a collaboration record. My second to most recent record is the record that we did together, and it was just such a it was just so much like this record, really, but it was just so much fun to get to do something like that so intimately with you know, one of your best buds, you know, and yeah, we you know, man, we miss old Chuck.
We
for
do.
Sure.
Yeah. And it's
on this
like I
record.
said, it's a beautiful dedication on this record. It is a great album. And again, people, Doubledealing, coming out August 21st on Shawnee Records. Definitely going to want to buy this one for sure. The physical CD. It's time to buy the physical CD, folks. Let's support these artists. Hey, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I want to remind people, you know, that coming up for us on the show at 8:30, we're going to be chatting with Monty Alexander, the great Monty Alexander, about his reggae calypso take on Monk for his new album. And guys, starting next week, we're going to be doing this completely live, just like we're doing now, 8:30 p.m. This is Jazz. We're doing it live. We're doing it spontaneously. So starting July 6th, the Jazz's Last Call will be all live. Eric, Randy, thank you so much for joining me. I sincerely appreciate this. Thank you to you both. It's a great record, and happy to have you both on.
well, thank you. Thank you for your support. It's great to see you guys in the virtual world, but sooner or later we'll really meet.
Amen.
And I have trust.
Cheers
Thank
to
you,
that.
Brian.
I will see you guys backstage. I'm going to sign off with everybody watching at home, but have a great day and happy 4th.
Same to you. Thank you.
So long. All right, so thank you to both Eric Marienthal and Randy Brecker. Again, their new album is Doubledealing. It is coming out August 21st on Shawnee Records. It's a great album. I've been spinning it all day. I can certainly vouch for it. Again, a reminder, tonight at 8:30, we will be chatting with the great pianist Monty Alexander about his new album, Warwick Hill, Rasta Monk Vibrations, in which he kind of channels Thelonious Monk's music through reggae, calypso, and other Jamaican music. 8:30 p.m. on our Facebook page. Don't miss it. And then starting next week, July 6th, we're going all live. Jazz's Last Call live. Same time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time on our Facebook and YouTube pages. But you can chime in, you can write in, you can call in, and it's going to be a jam. That's what we're calling it. Anyways, I'm going to shut down the bar here. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. This has been The Last Call. I'm Brian Zimmerman. Have a great weekend, everyone. So long.